X Factor 95, Random versus Polaris. This was one slugfest of an issue with one of my favorite mutants and then one of the most literal random mutants in Marvel Comics. This is Scott Lobdell doing the plot, J.M. DeMatteis doing the script, Greg Luzniak doing the penciling, Milgrom ink, Richard Starkings letter, Glynis Oliver colorist. So as you can see, a lot of big names. I mean, Kelly Converse is the editor, Bob Harris is the group editor, and Tom DeFalco editor-in-chief. This is from October of 1993. And you better get ready, because coming to theaters this fall is Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. Man, that makes me feel old. And I'll be honest, when I first saw Nightmare Before Christmas in theaters, I think I was in 6th grade, I didn't like it. But it took me a long time to get into musicals, because like a lot of people, Disney kind of burned me out on anyone else trying to do musicals. But that's a thing for a whole nother discussion. Moving now, we're into Washington, D.C. Polaris is meeting up with Random. You didn't tell any of your X Factor buddies you were coming here, did you? Of course not. You said it was personal, that you needed to talk to me alone. Thanks. I appreciate that. So what's the big emergency? When you called, you sounded like it was the end of the world or something. So you're wondering, what's going on here? And Random says, well, Polaris, it ain't the end of my world, but it sure looks like the end of yours. So this is called Fatal Repulsions. So I kind of like that they played off of Fatal Attractions. And one thing that I will always give Scott Lobdell credit for. I mean, think about it. After Claremont left, he had Fabian Nicieza working with him. He had Peter David. He had Larry Hama. And, as all of them kind of moved on, Scott Lobdell stayed with the X-Book for a long time. And so after Peter David left X Factor, rest in peace, good sir, I'm glad that he kind of at least kept some of that humor. And we'll see that as we continue. But that's one thing that I really appreciate about Scott Lobdell is he really tried to keep the tone of the X-Men doing his own thing, but still having respect for the history that built up to where he was at this point. And just like how Random just says, say goodnight, Gracie. And again, the color palette here, the big onomatopoeia, the yellow's hitting Polaris, so she's colored up the most. Random kind of shadow thinking, what the hell is he doing? It's just a great color palette all around to just intensify that. And again, gotta love the 90s splash pages. Yeah, it can be cumbersome to turn it this way, especially that one issue of, I think it's X-Force and Amazing and Spider-Man, where each issue is constantly like that. It feels like you're reading a scroll rather than a comic. But it does give you that nice way to just really get more, art and detail here. So Random's trying to tell his contact that the mission's done. And Polaris is kind of saying, I figured you out, Random. So why are you suddenly out for my head? It occurs to me, money. This is the kind of scum-sucking slime who will do anything for a buck. Let's face it, anybody who drives around in a Lamborghini likes the high life. That's my car! Well, it used to be. So she hits him with a literal freaking car. And this is such a good team up too, because I mean, a lot of people were really reluctant to want to cozy up to Random when he quote unquote sort of joined Random. Now, while that's going on, we have our B plot. Alex is coming to the realization that Val is no longer the leader of X Factor. And it essentially kind of gets touched on when we went over the Fatal Attractions. I don't remember the issue number now off the top of my head, but it's when she, hold on. Right here. It's my understanding that after the Camp Hayden mess, you and Miss Cooper weren't exactly on the best of terms. And that was issue 92, according to Kelly. In that one, she essentially is forced to bring the team to that missile silo where the acolytes are trying to infiltrate. And so they realize that they can't really trust Val anymore. So I don't really know what's happening with her history at this point, but Forge is being put in charge of X Factor. And it's a very uncomfortable moment between Havoc and Forge. Like, I'm waiting for Havoc to just punch this guy across the chops. He goes, I apologize for the confusion. It was time for Val to move on to greener pastures. It seems the new people in the White House thought she was being wasted where she was. And now he said, he says, are you allergic to questions? Actually, I just got one. Why? Care to be a little more specific there? Why you? Why them? And the whole time, Forge has just got like this maniacal like look in his face, like, why you? Why them? What's it about Havoc and Polaris and Wolfsbane and Multiple Man, Strong Guy, that makes you right for X Factor? Explain to me why I shouldn't give the 5 of you the boot and start this whole project from scratch. And so essentially what's happening is, as much as this is uncomfortable, Forge is pushing Alex to see what kind of like what his mettle is essentially. He goes, "You're trying to change the subject, eh? I don't blame you. You probably can't give me a single reason why you 5 should be kept on. Hold on a minute. I mean, take the kid." And he goes on to talk about Rain. It's like you put her at Muir Island so that she can recuperate. She's only a kid, for God's sake. What possible value could she be to X Factor? First of all, those problems were forced on her by Genosian geneticists. Rain's on Muir Island, taking steps to undo what those animals did to her. So we are actually going over the extinction agenda so we can kind of understand what happened. And it's not just Genosha that happened to Rain. If you go all the way back to Fall of the Mutants, Doug Ramsey dies. And as we go into the extinction agenda and she realizes that the X-Men are still alive, she gives Storm a piece of her mind saying, "You pretended to die. You left us on our own. Doug died. Do you not even care? Or are you just too basically self-centered, just worrying about how you're a kid now, blah, 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 blah." So she has had a lot thrusted upon her. And as we get into more of the extinction agenda, there's more death that haunts her, and there's more that Hobbs, is that his name, does to her that twists her. And so she's trying to come to terms with all of that. It's made her a lot more. And Alex is doing everything he can to protect his team. And so we're literally just kind of getting this verbal argument on top of a physical fight. And she's going, "Why are you attacking your own kind, random? My own kind, just because we share a genetic mutation, sweet cheeks. Don't think for a second that you and me are the same. You're looking at a species of one. Only loyalty I got is to myself and whoever writes the checks." In the way that she's able to kind of flip his power, because of Random's power is when someone does something to him, his body immediately finds a way to counteract it. Anything you throw at me, I come up with a way to beat it. You can't predict me, you can't pin me down. Hence the name Random. But Polaris being Polaris, we know how Lorna is. And so he says, "Why Strong Guy?" He's like, his name, Strong Guy, adolescent. That's his style. It's ironic, postmodern. Besides, he is strong. I don't think we've gauged the limits of his ability to absorb kinetic energy. So he's got muscle. Where's his sense of commitment? Guido's proven himself to me, to all of us, time and time again, even before he joined the team. And so whatever Forge throws at Havoc, again, we've seen how much he grows. And you can kind of see him falter a little bit, but he catches himself. And he even is able to stand up and protect Jamie. He goes, "Let me see. Jamie, he's irresponsible, unreliable, unpredictable. There's more if you want to hear it. But listen, Jamie's not like that at all. Well, he is sometimes, but there are as many sides to him as there are. Oh, do you think you could get that slide off the screen? It's distracting." So he's throwing stuff out on the screen to just essentially mess with Havoc's mind. He goes, and then Ford says, "That's it. What's it? If Jamie was here, he could get you the soldering gun, the screwdriver, run out for burglary, sing a 4-part harmony. He can do anything. For heaven's sake, he's a one-man army. Think of the money our department saves by paying one salary to an unlimited number of operatives. Okay, I'm convinced. I really thought I had you there for a minute." And so Havoc finds out that Forge was pushing him to test him. He goes, "I don't need to ask about you. I know a good leader when I see it." And then he asks about Lorna. And man, does he go to bat for Lorna Dane. And he goes, "If your mind's been messed with as much as hers has been, you would understand why sometimes she has commitment problems and why she ran when she did. But you've seen what she's done since then." And so we see a whole new era of X Factor taking shape. But we see that Rain is having one hell of a time. And I'm hoping as we come to issue But real quick, I love this panel. It's beautiful, great splash page. But I cannot get over the way that they retooled her, where she doesn't really have a nose anymore. It's just, I don't know. To me, it's off-putting, but it's a gorgeous piece of art. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, X Factor 95. There is a lot of tension in it. Some good, some bad. Artwork's beautiful. Scott Lobdell does everything he can to keep the spirit of Peter David, what he did starting with issue 72, moving forward. And I mean, think about this. He spearheaded Onslaught, Age of Apocalypse, Fatal Attractions, the Executioner song. He's the one that did essentially, I think, helped script the Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix. All these things that we knew from the 90s that got interpreted into X-Men 97. Like the original X-Men, the animated series, was all kind of based on Claremont stuff. We go into X-Men 97, and of course, Claremont and Len Wein's visions are front and center, but they started touching on a lot of the stuff that Scott Lobdell brought to the table. And that's why I'll always give him credit. I mean, he did X Factor, Generation X, the events I just talked about. He gave us so much going into the 2000s. And this issue right here is definitely one of those ones that you got to check out, because now Forge is leading X Factor. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or where there's going to get your action figures and comics, and grab this issue. If you've enjoyed this review, really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little random bell next subscribe, that way as I get to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with you on hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.